Oh, that's not what I wanted. Negative 8 comma negative 4 as 1 point, and I give you the point, let's do 5, negative 8, okay, my calibration is off again. Okay, so if I give you those 2 points, I want you to graph me a line. I want you to first solve for slope. And I'd like you to solve for slope using the slope intercept or the slope formula. So our points were negative 8, comma what? 4?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. And our second point was 5, comma negative 8. Okay, there's our 2 points. We want to use our slope formula. What is our slope formula? Brianna?
I think it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus 1.
There you go. There's your formula. Write it down. Always start every problem that you're solving for slope with a formula. Don't just start plugging in numbers. Now the next thing that I do is I say, okay, this point is going to be my point 1. And this point over here is going to be my point 2. What? Hunter, what?
Y or x?
Well, this point has an x and y, but it is 0.1. So which x is this? X1 and y1. Do you not remember this from last week? Okay. So I'm calling this my point 1. That's why I put a 1 here, so that I can remember that this is my point 1. And now I'm going to plug in. So I'm going to say, all right, I need my y2. So my y2 is from point 2. This was point 2. My calibration is off, so my pen looked a little funny. Okay? So my y2 is this negative 4. It's the y in the point 2. So I plug in negative 4 minus, and now I need the y from point 1, which is negative 8. Now notice I have a minus sign. Now I have to drop in a negative 8. Do it step by step and don't lose your negatives or your subtraction signs. Brianna?
Is negative 8 really y1?
Yeah, that's what I chose. I chose this as point 1. And I chose this as point 2.
Oh, but it didn't do.
Okay? Does it matter which one I choose as point 1? No, not as long as I use them consistently. But I circled it and I said, this is the one I'm going to use as point 1 so that we could all be on the same page. Okay? So now I have to plug in my x2 value. My x from point 2 is this negative 8. So negative 8 minus, and I need the x from my point 1. And my x from point 1 is 5. And I end up with a negative 4 minus a negative 8, which is really plus a positive. So a negative 4 plus an 8 is really a positive 4. And negative 8 minus 5 is really negative 8 plus a negative 5. So negative 8 plus negative 5 is negative 13. And this is simplified. So this is my slope. Okay? So we've solved the slope. But now we're going to move on to a later lesson. And a later lesson in the book says, all right, given 2 points, graph your line. Okay? Or solve it for the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my graphing page, and I'm going to say, all right, let's graph it. It's pretty easy to graph it because we have 2 points. So I can say, all right, I'm going to put negative 8, negative 4 on my graph. Well, negative 8 on the x is here, and negative 4 drops down. So I'm here as a point. And my second point is 5, negative 8. So 5 on my x-axis is here, and I'm going to drop down to negative 8, which is here, and I put my point, which doesn't want to work. Right there. Okay, why is it not working? All right, so now I can connect my dots with a straight line, and I can say, all right, I'm starting here at this point. See, my thing's off. Erase. Come on, erase. Erase the dot. Let's put my dot back, it's here. Let's push pause for a second. Okay, can we see, now that I've connected my 2 points, can we see that it does have a B? What is B, Alyssa? Just what does it mean to be a B? That's true. This is not direct variation. What does B mean? In the equation of a line, what does the B tell us? The point where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't cross at a perfect spot, so it's really hard to name what this B is. If it had crossed perfectly at a set point, it would be very easy to write this equation. But now that we have a line, we can solve for a B. We can say that our formula is y equals mx plus b. Okay? Do we know what our slope is? The two things that we enter are our m and our b in order to write the equation of the line. What's our slope? Caitlin. Negative what? It's a fraction. Negative 4/13. So we're going to plug it into our equation. Y equals negative 4/13 x plus b. Now, in order to make this an equation of the line, I need a b. But in this case, I don't have a b. Not one that's perfect that I can just name. So I have to solve for my b. In order to solve for my b, what am I going to do? If I want to solve for b, we did this last week. What do I do if I want to solve for b? I need only one variable, and I want it to be this b. So I have to plug in something for y and x. What am I going to use? Nina, what do you think? A point. Do you have one that you like up there? No? Which one should I use? Because I have to use one of them. Negative 8, negative 4. So that means I'm taking my negative 8 and I'm plugging it in for my x. And it's times my slope is equal to my y, which is that negative 4. And it's plus b. So my equation, all I did was plug in my y and my x from this point here. Okay? And now if I solve, I can get b all alone. Riley?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Negative 4 divided by 13 is a negative decimal. 4 divided by negative 13 is a negative decimal. So it doesn't matter where the negative is, that number is negative. So I'm correct. Okay, it doesn't have to be in a certain spot. Okay, so let's solve it. So we end up with negative 4 equals, and I have to do this multiplication piece here. So a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. And 4 times 8 is 32 over 13 plus b. How do I get b all alone? Brianna?
Add a negative 32/13.
Add a negative 32/13 to both sides. things off again. Okay? So I end up with B on this side equals, and I have negative 4 plus a negative 32 thirteens. I'm going to go to my clean page for a minute and do negative 4 plus a negative 32 thirteens equals B. Oh, it's positive. Thank you. Okay? So what are we going to do? No, it is negative because we're adding it to the other side, my dear. Remember? Okay.
Because you agreed with it.
All right. So we have a negative 32 thirteenths and a negative 4. How do I add them? I want to add fractions. Caitlin, what do I have to do? They have to have a common denominator. What's my denominator going to be? Go ahead and tell me. 13. So if I want them to be 13, this one's going to stay as the negative 32 thirteenths, and this one is going to change to become what? Alex? No. I'm not just adding one. How do I make something be a negative 4 with a 13 on the denominator?
Can't you just have like a negative 3 and have 13 over 13?
Negative 3.
You have you can use a mixed number, have negative 3 and then 13 over 13.
Oh, because you want to borrow?
Yeah.
All right. Just give me a number because then I still have to subtract. Okay, that's what you think of doing. Someone give me what would I do? What would I do? What am I really doing to get this number up here? You're right. Your way absolutely works. It's just not the way that I normally do it. Emma?
You multiply negative 12 and 13.
Yep, and you get?
Negative 52.
Yep. And now I can just add them. If I go into, the reason I don't go into a mixed number is because then I just have to reconvert it. So I just leave it. So I have a negative 52 plus a negative 32, which is going to give me a negative 84 thirteenths equals B. Now I have a B. What do I do? What?
Graph it.
I don't have to graph it. We already graphed, remember? Negative 84 thirteenths. Remember that number. Where does it go? If I want to write it in the equation of a line,
Y equals, and then you put negative 4 thirteenths x plus negative 84 thirteenths.
there you go. So you just found the B that you were solving for. So we would write that B here was negative 84 thirteenths. Okay, but now the equation of this orange line has to be written in y equals mx plus b format. So I plug in my m and I plug in my b. So we get y equals negative 4/3 x plus a negative 84 thirteenths. And this is the equation of my line. Okay? I'm going to do another one. I'll do the scratch paper on regular paper so that it's a little bit easier to follow.